What do you think of the Brew Crew so far? I'm really looking forward to this series.
Well, some of these guys I'm not too familiar with. The Weimer and the second baseman. I saw Mitchell play a little bit last year. Kind of liked him. I thought Winker was a good pickup, and as you mentioned, Brian Anderson is a terrific player, I think. I mean, the Marlins didn't seem to have any use for him, but they managed to retool their club. I thought they might miss Wong. But Wong's only had, one hit or 2 hits for Seattle in 6 games, so maybe they haven't. Their catching is, okay, I guess. But they still got those 2 big horses at the front of the rotation, and Burns hasn't pitched well at all, and they still only lost 1 game.
Right. I mean, they've been really good. A lot of good stuff happening with them. I wanted to ask you, listen, we know that the Cardinals starting pitching is going to get better, and it's the old joke because it can't get any worse. But are you surprised by the pummeling that they took, especially the first 2 innings of games during the first 2 series?
I guess a little bit. I don't know. They're not a strikeout type team, even though Miklasz got some strikeouts going later in the game. But more balls are put in play against them than most teams, and without the shifting, more balls are getting through. I mean, there's some, I hear Miklasz complaining about soft contact and whatever and so forth. Well, that's the way the game is now.
Yep.
You hit the ball up the middle or through a ground ball right side, it can be a base hit when those used to be outs. And I'm not saying they have to strike everybody out, but they have to strike more people out, I think. Especially
at a key time, when you really need that strikeout. It's not easy to do. You can't just snap your fingers and it happens. But, man, I have to tell you, you've seen so much baseball and know so much baseball. But, yeah, there's always a point in a game, a couple times in a game, maybe for a starting pitcher where it's like, man, if the dude ever needed a strikeout, it's right now. And I think that would mitigate some of the damage that they've taken on early in the season. Let's get this out of the way too. What is your opinion of the Marmol Tyler O'Neill kerfuffle?
Well, when the play occurred, I was surprised they sent him at all. They were losing by 3 runs. You get runs whenever you can, but I wasn't offended that much that I just thought he should have stayed at third base, but they thought they had a chance to score him, trying to get runs whenever they could. But I didn't notice him slowing down that much when I saw it live. I saw a tape of it and it looked like he had kind of paced his steps a little bit. I'm not a big fan of airing that laundry publicly, except Marmol, when he does that, he's already talked to the player ahead of the media. That's his philosophy. So once the media heard about it, O'Neill had already heard about it before. Now, O'Neill didn't respond real well to it and probably shouldn't have. I see he's back in there tonight. Of course, he's got 3 home runs off Woodruff, but the bottom line is I didn't think they should try to score that run anyway.
No, you're totally right. And, Pop Warner's really good at his job, but I guess coaches get into slumps too. They've had 4 people thrown out at the plate already. They've only played 6 games, so that's a lot, right? So hopefully that'll get I thought that, O'Neill didn't get the greatest start, the jump off second base, but he also knows who's playing right field. And Acuna Jr., if you believe the StatCast stuff, he had the strongest throwing arm in the majors last year. So I thought when he was approaching third, and you could tell that the journey wasn't crisp. He was kind of awkward. Yeah, I don't know what Pop was thinking there. I mean, that's just, if you got some bum out there who can't throw any airmails throws, okay, this guy's maybe the most feared. Well, it could be tied for first among the most feared, corner outfield guns out there. So it was just a screw up all the way around. And I think O'Neill's in a tough spot because I think, he's hurt. All he's heard is you get hurt too much. What's wrong with you? Why don't you do something about it? You can't keep going on the IL. So he's trying. He's really trying. But part of that is he's trying to maybe modify his speed a little bit, not go, full blaze every single time he runs. because he thinks it'll help him stay, in the lineup. I understand where he's coming from, because when he does get hurt, we all make fun of him and ridicule him and make a big deal about it. So, listen, O'Neill's going to have to figure out what that happy medium is, as he said. And once he does that, I think everything will be fine. But it was certainly a kind of a strange uprising so early in the season.
Well, that wasn't even the tying run. We haven't even close to tying run.
Right.
Secondly, I have noticed O'Neill running more of a control gate to first base. I mean, you used to hit ground balls to shortstop and third base, and you pay attention because he beat those out. Well, he's not beating those out anymore, and maybe that's part of his new program. But going back to the original play, I didn't think they needed that run that bad. They had the heart of the lineup coming up then. I think that Donovan was a hitter at that time, right? So they had Burleson, they had the two big boys coming up. So it could have been a big inning.
Commish, one of the bright spots early in the season, I know Jordan Hicks has had his problems, but you move that aside and accept the premise that not everybody's going to be great all the time. But their bullpen's been outstanding, other than Hicks's turbulence. It's just great. And what do you make of that so far? I guess Drew Verhagen was what Mo said he was, at least before he got hurt last year, and certainly wasn't capable of pitching well.
Yeah, you're exactly right. He was really good in spring training this year, and he's been excellent during the season. And now I can see why they like him so much, because he has swing and miss stuff at a couple, 3 different pitches. And that's what you need out of a bullpenner. And I wasn't high on him. I didn't know how good he could have been really last year because he was hurt most of the time. But to see him pitch it effectively now, and better than effectively, pitch well now, and not be hurt, I can see what all the fuss was about.
No doubt about it. I feel guilty now for kind of making fun of him all of last season. So give me. I'll accept the
slap on the wrist and then go on, right?
The demerits, yeah. Bad Bernie. What are your impressions of Jordan Walker so far?
Poise, discipline. He's a sharp guy, and he doesn't seem overwhelmed by the spot he's in. I applaud them for hitting him down in the lineup. He's not going to be a 7th or 8th place hitter most of his career, if any, beyond this year. But that gives him a little bit of a respite down there. He makes contact most of the time. He doesn't strike out in great bunches. He can beat out an infield hit, or the other day I think he beat out what could have been a double play grounder, ended up being a force out that helped to rally along. So I'm very impressed. He gets the balls in the outfield. He throws the right base. He throws with conviction. And there's a player there. He's going to be a good player this year, and he's going to be maybe a lot better than that in the future.
Yeah, you just wait till he gets, pardon the expression, gets the launch angle stuff down, because he hits a lot of ground balls, but he hits them hard. He hits everything hard just about. And, just to throw this out to you and the listeners, because I knew he runs well. He does. And I don't know where some of the prospect pundits came up with this notion that he's not a good base runner. I was looking up some stuff about Tyler O'Neill's speed this year, so I went to StatCast. Jordan Walker, at least through the first 6 games, is the fastest runner on the team, like his sprint speed. So, I mean, the guy's huge. He's massive. And yet he's their fastest runner, at least so far. And I think that you're just kind of like, man, what is there anything he can't do, It's pretty amazing, actually.
It'll be interesting to see what happens when Nootbaar returns, I would assume, sometime next week. He can come off the list Monday, I believe, in Denver if they choose to do that. But then they have, Burleson has played pretty well in the outfield and has hit better than maybe people thought. You've got O'Neill, you've got Walker, and you've got Carlson's been doing well too. So
sure,
you've got 5 guys for 3 spots there, and Marmol will have a little problem, as it were, on his hands, because you want to get Nootbaar involved. Nootbaar's only really been in 1 game, and Walker's going to play every game. And I don't know about the rest of them, but yeah, you've got to mix and match, I guess. But they've got some depth there.
That's a lot of outfielders for sure. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Marmol handles that to make sure they all get enough time or whatever, if they all stay healthy. And you're right about Burleson, and I almost hate to think about maybe them sending him down. I don't think they will. I think Marmol really likes him, as he should. I think we're seeing, he indeed is a really talented and consistent hitter. I mean, the guy was born to hit.
Well, I think that the move they could make is to send Motter down, since he's only played one game anyway, and they kind of kept him as a backup infielder, but where they need a backup shortstop more than anything. But Donovan is probably their backup shortstop until DeYoung. DeYoung will be back on this team in the next couple weeks, I would think, 2 or 3 weeks, as your backup player. Then you have a situation where Burleson might have to go down or somebody else. But I keep all those other guys around. I think Burleson does them more good than Motter off the bench.
Yeah, he does. I agree. The great Rick Hummel, the commish, Hall of Fame baseball writer, here with us every Friday. Commish, one more for you, and take your time with this because there's a lot to it. We're 2 weeks into the season. Well, not even that, but you know what I'm saying. 2 series each team into the season. And what are your thoughts from what you've seen in terms of all the new rules?
I've been anti-pitch count ever since the thing got announced, but I'm okay with it now. The only thing that bothers me from a inside baseball standpoint is that with nobody on base and only 15 seconds to get a pitch off, you don't see pitchers shaking off catchers trying to throw a different pitch, or even if they don't intend to shake off the catcher, they want the hitter to think they're shaking off the catcher. You don't see that kind of inside ball anymore. Whatever goes down is what they're throwing. If you get a little more time with people on base, and to counteract that, you either have to step off the mound or have the catcher come out for a mound conference, which is probably the best way to do that because those teams don't use those 5 mound conferences a game anyway. So that's a way of getting around that. But I missed that little bit of intrigue. But I'm impressed that half hour or 25-minute savings in time. Not so concerned about the time. It's the pace of the game. Like I find myself looking down, looking between pitches, looking for a stat or something. Well, the next pitch is already being thrown. I have to adjust my schedule here a little bit.
I mean, I actually, just as a viewer at home, I've actually enjoyed the pitch clock from an entertainment standpoint because you're there and you're like, oh my gosh, he's not going to be able to get this pitch off in time. So you're sort of drawn to that. And I don't know why I find it compelling, but it's like a little competition within the competition, whether the hitter's going to get set in time or the pitcher's going to beat the clock. It's kind of fun in a way. Let me follow up on that because offense indeed is up. It really is, and the power numbers are up so far compared to April of last year. In fact, the home runs have really increased, and you know how that is the first month or so. You don't expect the ball to fly. So either they fiddled with a baseball again to give it a little more oomph, but I wonder how much is what you just discussed. The pitchers are rushed. They're in a hurry. They don't have time to ponder things, maybe catch their breath. Do you think that's one of the reasons possibly that the hitters are doing better than they did a year ago? I mean, I know the shift helps or getting rid of it helps, but I think there's more to it than that because that doesn't explain all the balls leaving the park.
Well, no question. I think when a pitcher and a catcher see the clock ticking down on them, I see a fastball more likely to be thrown. Okay, let's get it in. Let's go, and the hitters are seizing upon that.
Right.
And
no doubt about it.
Yeah, there's no question in my mind about that.
What do you think of? By the way, of course, tell our fans they know already, but we'll see William Contreras and Wilson Contreras officially become NL Central rivals tonight. What do you think of Wilson Contreras? I know that we don't have much to go on, but what are your observations?
He's always been a good thrower, and he's gotten 2 guys at second base. I think he's one of the 2 or 3 catchers in the league that has done that. He'll throw behind the runner at first base too, and Goldschmidt's always alert to that. We haven't seen any power out of him yet. He's hit mostly singles. I think he had 1 ball to the track or a double or whatever, but I don't know that number 5 is his best spot. I would hit him up at 2 if I had somebody. I like to hit Gorman 5. I think Gorman's shown enough he can hit 5 now against right-handed pitchers anyway.
I've enjoyed watching him. Well, Commish, that's all I got for you. Unless there's something you think I should have asked you about that you wanted to discuss.
Well, you have Flaherty is tonight's pitcher, and there's always intrigue when he pitches. I mean, he's coming off. He hasn't allowed a hit all season, but he's also walked the ballpark. He walked 7 guys in 5 innings and hit 1. So we don't know who the real guy is here yet. Yes,
that's right.
He seems not to be throwing compromised. He seems to be throwing without pain, without a hitch. But you put some extra guys on base in that ballpark, and the way those Brewers like to hit that long ball, Rowdy Tellez or somebody might just jump him.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about it. Yeah, I think this is a really important start for him because you pretty much know what you're going to get from the other guys, and Miklasz will be fine. It was just a couple weird starts, and he was kind of he did get damaged by a lot of soft contact, but he'll that'll level out for him. But Flaherty continues to be the wild card of this rotation. There's no doubt about it. And Wainwright's making progress, so he'll probably be back before long. But I still think there's going to be a lot of questions about this rotation. Now, having said that, I looked up last April and then the April before that, 21 and 22. And their rotation in those 2 seasons, the rotation ERA, the first month was really bad in both 21 and 22. So I don't know what that means. But I have an idea that maybe Mozeliak's going to be shopping for a pitcher unless Liberatore continues to pitch really well. And he may enter the picture in a big way depending on what happens with these other guys.
That's what I was going to say, is that he is, first of all, used to this pitch clock thing. He had it all last year in the minor leagues. And secondly, maybe keeping up with the pitch clock. He was throwing more fastballs and throwing them harder this spring. So I don't think I would dance around too long with him. He pitched 5 scoreless the other day,
right, at
Charlotte, and he's about due. I don't know if he pitched. He must have had his second start this week. If he did, I'm sorry, I didn't see the numbers, but he'll replace Woodford if Woodford has too many more ineffective outings. He's only had 1 game so far. Let's see how he does Sunday. But I wouldn't key Liberatore down there. That's as good as they can get, from some other team as that guy like that, or even Hudson. You got the guy won 16 games 2 or 3 years ago.
To follow up on that, Liberatore is he's really attacking the hitters. He's being, as you mentioned, he's really, really aggressive with his fastball. He's got confidence in it. Last year, I don't think he did because I think it was just kind of maybe a little overwhelming to be in the big leagues for first time. I don't think Liberatore gave himself enough credit. Now he's emboldened, and he's like, I think he realizes, like, you know what, I just got to go after these guys. I can't be pitching scared or whatever. So he's and plus his curveball's gotten a lot better. So in 2 starts so far down for Memphis, 10 innings, 7 hits, no runs, 4 walks, 14 strikeouts. He's a better pitcher now. There's no doubt in my mind he's a better pitcher now. So I think he's going to be more prominent in the 23 season than maybe we all thought, going into the season.
1 or 2 more games like that, and he's up here. I don't care how they put him in, if they want to go with 6 starters or whatever. He's too good to be there if he keeps pitching like that. That's right.
Yeah, if you do it by the 9-inning thing, he's averaging like 12 and a half strikeouts per 9 innings. I mean, it's stuff is just really electric now. So I think we have a lot to look forward to there. Commish, always I enjoy it, my friend. Have a good weekend, and look forward to visiting with you again next Friday.
I look forward to it too. Thank you very much.
All right, that's our dear friend Rick Hummel, the legend, the Hall of Famer. From the Post-Dispatch and STLtoday.com. Jim here, before we take a break, and I don't mean to keep gushing, but I know, listen, I totally get it. I'm not dogging anyone out. I totally get it. Why? Because of what Randy Arozarena did for Tampa Bay right away and that incredible postseason he had. And he continues to be a hell of a player. I understand. in a way that Matthew Liberatore was sort of other than John Mozeliak, who made the trade. I think the next guy would bear the brunt for that would be Liberatore. Because it's like, I remember when, I first started doing the show with you, 2.5 years ago, or whatever it was. People were really down on Liberatore, and I understand it, because when you sort of like, well, wait a minute, this is the guy we got for Randy Arozarena? Really? Mm-hmm. And I kept pointing out, like, hold on, man, he's hardly even pitched in the minor leagues. He's really inexperienced. It's going to take a little while. And all of a sudden, he's still only 23 years old. Think about that.
Yeah.
People were dogging him at age 21 that he wasn't Koufax or something. I mean, I'm being facetious. It wasn't that bad. But something has clicked in, and it's like he's got this thing figured out as far as his temperament on the mound, his competitiveness, his confidence, his boldness. Like he's like, you know what? I got a lot of good stuff here. I got nothing to be intimidated by. And he's going after hitters, and he was doing it in spring training, and now he's been really great the first couple starts at Memphis. So I'm pretty excited by that.
Yeah, I'm there with you. He's been pitching well. I think he pitched yesterday too, if I remember correctly. I was checking some numbers. He was good. Didn't allow a run. I think it was 3 hits, 2 walks into 5 innings. I was impressed by what we saw late in spring training a couple times, which was better than what we had seen in the past. So I would think, a couple more trips to the rotation, and then if there's a need, they can go down and get him if somebody's still continuing to fizzle out up here. So we'll see. And then there's by the way, Wainwright is throwing bullpens again.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
I'm skeptical, but we'll see.
Here's the deal with Wainwright, and I'll say this, and again, people get offended, and there's no need to get offended. He's going to be 42 years old in a few months, and he lost velocity and strikeout punch and swing and miss stuff last season. And we all know that he's wily and he's cunning and he's crafty and that he can find a lot of ways to get hitters out. But what I'm trying to say is that I cannot assume that he's going to come back and pitch really well. I just can't assume it. I hope he does. I think his survival skills will help carry him through. But I've heard a lot of this, and I understand that you're just looking for something to cling to. Well, Waino's coming back, and that'll be good. And I want to see what he can do. But what I'm saying is, like, I'm not writing him off. I'm not condemning him. I'm not saying, oh, he's done. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying I'm not going to assume he's going to be lights out when he rejoins the rotation. And I don't think there's anything that is hardly hot take stuff. It's anything but. That's just a pragmatic view of the situation, and a lot of it based on kind of how things went for him, down the stretch, and just seeing that fastball get slower and slower and slower. So to me, it's going to be a little bit of a mystery, like how much they can get out of him and how much quality he'll have. And I will say this: if we all know Wainwright, and if I know Wainwright, it's always a mistake to just like write him off. So that's why I'm not doing it. But I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, he's coming back. They'll be all set. I don't know that. We can only wait and find out, right?
Absolutely. I'm apprehensive. I'm hopeful, but I'm really sitting there going, ooh, got my fingers crossed and kind of got my eyes closed till I hear a little bit more. But we'll see how he is. And I would also say, hey, Jake Woodford deserves a couple more outings.
Yeah.
And then if it's like it was last time, then okay, time to move on. But give him some more time.
No, I like Jake a lot, and I don't think he's been given a fair shot, but he wasn't very good the other night. I'm really curious of what he'll do Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's a really tough yard to pitch, but that's baseball. You're in the major leagues. I mean, that's the point, But, if he gets pounded Sunday, then they're going to have to revisit that. I mean, he's probably better off as a long reliever in the bullpen because that's a pretty important role with starters the way they are. Nowadays, if they pitch 5 innings, they turn and look around. It's like, well, where's my medal?
Yeah.
Where,
Isn't there a trophy for this? It's fine.
Yeah,
come on, guys.
Where's my medal? I gave my team a chance to win. Okay. So if you have a tired bullpen, I'm talking about the back end guys. I tell you what, man, with the shortage of innings from starters and the fact that you're going to have maybe 2 guys, 3 that are really, really good back end of the bullpen, but they can't pitch day after day after day either. So those middle innings become a pretty big deal, and Woodford's been really good at that. So we'll see what's going to happen. But I am absolutely fired up by the way Liberatore has just sort of got things wired in right now. And Kamish is right. If he keeps pitching like that, how do they not bring him up, especially if these other guys are getting pounded,
Agreed.